Welcome to one of the past HSC exam question videos. In this video, we'll cover this exam question, which is worth 4 marks. While doing the second, I'll read the actual question. Once I read the question, give about 5 seconds to pause the video. Once you pause the video, attempt the question, and then press play when you're ready. And I'll go over the actual answer itself. I've got a marking guideline to show you how to get full marks, and a sample answer as well. Right, so the question itself is, epidemiology studies have demonstrated a relationship between ultraviolet radiation exposure and the development of melanoma, a type of skin cancer. The graph shows the rate of occurrence of melanoma in males and females between 1972 and 1997. And this is the data here. A student studying the graph made the following statement. The incidence of melanoma will continue to increase beyond 1997 at a greater rate in males than females. Analyze the data and graph to assess the validity of the statement. So when you're ready, pause the video and attempt the question. So this is the question itself. Welcome back. Right, so in this case, what you need to have done to get full marks is a couple of things. First of all, it says analyze the data and assess the validity of the statement. Assess means more than just say what the data means, what the data is saying, but if the statement here, the statement made here, is actually correct. So you have to back up your statement, what you think, is the statement up there correct or not, but then also give some backup as well. Because to get full marks, it says it needs to do certain things. First of all, identify trends in the data in the graph. This is just saying what does the data actually say. So in this case, we're going to say actually there's an increase, overall increase in the amount of people dying from or cases of melanoma overall. And it is true there are more so in increases in males than females, right? So that's what we'll be saying here to get 1 mark. We just say, yep, there's been an increase in overall cases, plus the fact that there's a greater increase in males is also true. Then we have to talk about the prediction as well, because it says assess the validity. So is the statement true? And it's not just say true or false. It says yep, it's true, or nope, it's not true. But also say why we think it might not be perfectly accurate. So in this case, what I'm going to say is why I don't think the prediction that person made is completely, definitely justifiable. There might be a bit more evidence we need to make that before we make that actual judgment. And I'll say we need to have more age data, maybe more numbers, so maybe have more different types of studies made in Queensland and in Tasmania or in South Australia, right? Because it's only in New South Wales, this is not in other places. So the more numbers we have, the more locations we have, the better, basically, right? So I'm going to say we need more data to make that judgment. And that is my final judgment. Will say, yep, I need more data. I can't state myself as too early, too premature. I need to have more. Because to get 4 marks, you got to discuss the limitations. So the limitations that I'll be discussing will be like stuff like we don't know what kind of ages these people are. Maybe with more data, we can see if the trend will continue. Right? So, for example, if all the young ones are having highest cases of skin cancer, then we can say, yep, maybe in the future, is it because the young ones are having skin cancer? That might mean that it might continue. Whereas if it's people who are 90 plus, who might have different lifestyles and they're the ones who are getting skin cancer, maybe once they die off, everything changes. So we need to have the data to be able to make that judgment. And yeah, that's what my final statement will be. Right, so I'll show you my sample answer. There is an observable trend of increasing cases of melanoma for both genders. So this is just saying that there's an overall increase in the period of 1970 to 1995, with the increases in the cases amongst males being higher than that of females. This is just my statement, right? That's for getting 1 mark, you got to get that. And then the next part was to say discuss the limitations. So the statement makes a prediction that this increase will continue at the higher rates for females than for males, but the provided data is not enough to justify the statement. So here I'm saying the statement itself is not made with enough data. We need to have more data. But then I go into the exact limitations, because that's also what I need to do to get full marks. So provide data only looked at one state and did provide more information on the cases for different age groups. And did not. So it did not provide more information on the cases for different age groups. The data would allow for more accurate predictions, as a larger sample size improves reliability, and more information on age groups could give more insight to what might occur in the future. You can see I've kept it quite general, because remember, it's only 4 marks, and in this case they took melanoma as a disease. They don't expect you to know everything about the disease itself, but you just need to make some statements which sound like they they are insightful. In this case, I'm saying if we have more information on age groups, we could maybe predict a bit better, because again, they don't expect you to be someone who knows everything about skin cancer, but just to be able to look at the graph and get some data out of it, or get some limitations out of it. So 2 limitations I mentioned here were not enough sample size, maybe have more locations, more different numbers as well, and maybe show me different data, show it by age group, show it by occupation, and everything else to see what these trends will really look like for the future. But here I've talked about my limitations. I've said what the actual graph says. I've talked about my limitations. I mentioned 2. And then I said my overall statement, which was what I think is this actual statement he made accurate. I said, no, we need to have more data. So to do that was get my 4 marks. Because remember, it said identify trends in data, discuss limitations, and make judgment. So if you do all these, you get 4 marks. If you don't need to do a couple, you get less marks. So depending on what you do, you get different types of marks. So where does this question come from? It came from this dot point mostly. Identify and describe the main features of epidemiology using lung cancer as an example. Because remember, epidemiology was the study of the occurrence, prevalence, and spread of disease, and that's more or less what we're doing here. But hopefully that was useful.